I wasn't going to record today. I was going to stay in my little hermit world. I'm a line 2-4. My profile is line 2-4 in human design. I was going to stay in my little hermit world and not use my voice. Yet I know, you know, if you follow me, that using my voice is part of my superpower. And I have a thread of thought that is spinning around my head right now that part of me feels like shouldn't be for this space, but part of me feels like it is absolutely right for this space. So I wanted to just press record and just go for it, to be fair. I wanted to just do the thing. So here I am. So, for me recently, and potentially you'll know this because you follow me, hopefully, or you've come across the odd video here and there. And essentially, I've been going through a process. Sorry, there we go. I've been going through a process of transitioning my energy-led practices that make sense to be spoken into a spoken framework. So instead of journaling, instead of meditating even, I am speaking, and I am going through that transformation right now. And that transformation can be a little bit sticky and a little bit heavy sometimes. Because taking what is a private practice and allowing pieces of that, most of that, to be public is a transition. And not only that, but what I'm creating isn't the norm. It doesn't fit the normal algorithms and things like that. So I don't get the validation of what I am doing because the algorithms aren't connecting to it. Some of the random things that my videos on YouTube are put after is just crazy. It has nothing to do with my content. People are landing here who just would never probably come across my videos. I don't know. Big Red Hulk was even one of them, I think, one day. There was something that popped up. Apparently I popped up after corn removal the other day. I mean, what even has that got to do with my video? Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So, not that I'm chasing validation, but I'm aware that I'm not getting views, likes, comments, all that kind of stuff that YouTube would want me to do to promote my channel. So, it really is, I am just in this little corner doing my thing. And that's fine, that's the purpose. So let me be really clear here. I'm not chasing likes, comments, or anything like that, or followers. I'm trusting that my human design, my magnetism, my frequency will bring people into my world who connect to who I am and what I'm saying. So, you will often hear me talking. Do I want to talk about this and YouTube channels and Insta algorithms and things like that? No, not necessarily, because as soon as you start talking about that kind of stuff, people kind of see you as, you know, you're the person who, you know, you're trying to become an influencer and you're trying to grow your account and you're trying to monetize everything. And that is not where I'm at. However, I have for a long time said that social media is a really powerful self-development tool if you learn how to use it like that. And I've used it as a self-development tool for a long, long time. And transitioning from that to layering over my energetic practices into the platforms is a really interesting process, and it's making me grow as a person. And I have already gone through the death of my need for validation, the death of my ego. I have already gone through that. That happened in the kind of eras of, I don't know, 23, 24, into 25, into the beginning of 25. That was the death of my ego, of any kind of requirement for someone validating who I am and what I'm sharing and what I'm talking about. That's long gone. And as a self-projected projector, life is selfish. It's all about me and what I want to project out, you know? And while it's selfish, it's not selfish, because what I self-project out is what benefits the people who resonate with what I say. So while it is selfish and it's all about me, it's all about you. Anyway, that's another thing. While it's all about me, the byproduct of me speaking about me is that I tell a story and you get to sit in that frequency with me, which activates a frequency within you, which helps you to recognize your direction and your pathway. So I have a whole rhythm set up around my energetic practices now. So I self-project onto a video and I post that on YouTube. It is me in process. It is me recognizing something. It's me noticing something. And as I speak about the thing that I'm noticing, my own clarity, my own direction comes through. As I speak about the thing that I'm noticing, you step into that frequency with me. You step into that. And, you know, you find a clarity for yourself as I am speaking about it, you know? And trusting that you're getting something from this when I'm not having likes, comments, etc. And I do get comments, sorry. I'm not disregarding any comments that I do get, but I don't get like hundreds, you know, or whatever. When I don't have a large channel, when I don't have like millions of people following me, you know, trusting that you're getting something from this is You see, I might take that out, might leave it in. That was an example of where I start to say something, but it doesn't feel true in my body. And I couldn't continue with it. And I was like, no, this doesn't feel right. What I'm saying right now does not feel right. I was thinking recently, so I saw a coach recently who is promoting a course, and a little piece of me kind of went, do I? And there was a massive part of me that went, no, because you are no longer teachable in that way. And I was like, and then I thought about it and I thought, well, actually, I get that. Because if you sit in front of me and you tell me your knowledge and your process, and you tell me the 5 steps that you took to get in there, and you do it all from what you know, that is absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. And for other people, that might help them. For me, as you go through that and you tell me that, I am constantly aware of my body's reaction to that. And I will either have a feeling of, I already know that, because I do, because my body already knows that. Or I'll have a feeling of, no, that's not right. I'll challenge it. Because I am in that place now where I am unteachable. Doesn't mean I'm not learning, doesn't mean I'm not growing, doesn't mean I'm not taking on wisdom. But in the traditional sense of being teachable, coachable, I'm not anymore. The way that I learn is by watching life unfold. The way that I learn is by listening to myself. The way that I learn is by watching TV, reading books, not self-development books, reading like fantasy stories, you know? The way that I grow and become as a person is watching people's lives unfold on kind of Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. You know, scrolling TikTok and listening to kind of where my body is taking me when things pop up on the screen. This I like, this I don't like, this, you know, it's a little bit like playing hide and seek, feeling hotter and colder all the time. And through this whole thought process, speaking, I know that there's some clarity coming. Because if I go and look on YouTube now, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, if I go on any of these platforms, if I go to read a blog or follow someone who is teaching something, I am, shall we say, turned off by the whole, come and step into my course and I'll teach you 5 steps for doing this. No. I need to unlock it within me, not be taught it. That's it. I need to unlock it within me. I need to unlock the remembrance. I need to unlock the thread. I need to activate it within me, not be taught it. Oh, that's a big piece, isn't it? That feels like that was a big thing. That is the big thing. Maybe that's the lesson here. So I do research things, and I research things using lots of different formats. And let's use a human design transit as an example. So we move transits every 6 days. I have a whole grid set up on Instagram so that I can follow those. And obviously, when we change into a new transit, I go and research it. And I find someone who is 53 is all about this. This is what it means. This is what it's about. Da, 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 da. And they teach me it. And it doesn't, it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right. I don't like it. I don't like it, that experience. And what I can't find out there is the video about gate 53, or whichever gate, that hits the spot with me. And I'm beginning to realise that that is this unlocking, this activation. And so obviously, if there was a video out there where someone was teaching me how it felt living through, in their world, living through gate 53, I would be like, yes. Because as they tell the story, my body is reacting and it's telling me kind of like right and wrong. And don't get me wrong, when I say I'm unteachable, if I was to go into a course, my body still tells me, right? Someone's telling me a step-by-step process and my body's going, I already knew that. Then I know that that's a piece of me. You know, my body's going, don't tell me that, that's a load of rubbish. I know that that's not a piece of me. And I tell you this all the time when you're watching my videos, to notice what your body, what your feelings, what your energy is telling you. Don't take everything I say as gospel. Take your reaction to what I'm saying as your truth. And so don't get me wrong, from that environment, I can understand, oh, well, that works for me, that doesn't. But it doesn't activate anything in me. It doesn't unlock something. I'd have to take that information and I'd have to go and process it in a different way to try and unlock something within me. Now, if someone was doing a diary journal of what happened to me during gate 53, what I noticed. Did I notice the feeling of this? Did I notice the feeling of that? What changed during that whole gate 53 moment? And I listened to that video, whether it was 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago. And I listened to that, and I listened to someone explaining their experience, locking their diary moment. That's the unlocking. That's the activation. That's the bit that kind of makes me go, yes. So when it comes back round to understanding what I'm creating here on YouTube, what I'm creating over on my Instagram, what I'm creating on all my different platforms. For me, it's not about the growth, the whatever. Don't get me wrong. That is still, it does come up for me. I do question it. And I'm like, ooh, are people getting what I'm saying? Do they like it? Do they get it? Do they get me? That last video only got 3 views. Maybe people aren't getting me. You know, and one of the reasons why we are given these metrics on these platforms is so that we play the game. You know, we're given the metrics so that I kind of go, oh, only 3 people viewed my video. What can I do to boost that? How can I kind of, you know, align my work and my words and my conversations so that it fits the mold, so that therefore it will get out there. You know, the metrics are all, you know, if there was no metrics, if there was no likes, comments, yeah, but if there was no likes, no view counts, no follower counts, then nobody would want to play the game, right? There wouldn't be a game to be played. And you'd get a lot more people like me who don't really care. But my point being, I guess, is that I ask myself sometimes, what am I creating this for? Especially with this shift that I've changed it into. I'm not giving you the information. So I went through a stage of, you know, I'll tell you about seasonal food. I'll give you my weekly diary. I'm not doing it that way anymore. I've gone through, and if I go back to the last, I don't know, 3 years worth, and I've probably not on here, I've probably removed them, but I would treat this as my deep dive, my research place. So there is a human design video that's on valleys, which was me researching valleys. And it was me standing in the frequency of what does it feel like to be in a wide valley, you know? And people stepped into that frequency with me and really resonated with it, because it wasn't me teaching them. It was me going, okay, so I'm wide valleys. This is what it feels like for me. This is what this is what comes to mind. This is what comes up in my body when I think about wide valleys. And that's what these videos are. They're stepping into a frequency with me. They're processing with me. They're recognizing patterns and systems with me. And in that process of stepping in that frequency, you feel your own activations in your body. So when I come to this question of what am I creating my videos for? Why am I doing this? 1, the reason I am doing this is because I know that there is a superpower in my self-projection, in my throat, in my voice, in my frequency that I make. I'm a self-projected projector. This is powerful in my life. So instead of, I don't know, writing my intentions or writing my affirmations, in effect, what I'm doing is I am speaking them and I am recording them and I am anchoring them at that moment in time by logging them, by sharing them in these platforms. Ultimately, these platforms and what I do on these platforms are for me. And as long as I am getting what I need to get from these platforms and from these practices, then they will continue. That is the purpose of them. Now, I trust that my frequency, my resonance, the energy behind these videos when I record them reaches the people who are on that same frequency as me and resonate with these. And I put this out there for those of you who are like me. I create what I need. You know? I create what I need on these platforms. And in trusting that I needed this, I trust that other people out there also need this. I cannot be taught in the traditional way, but you can activate and you can unlock energies and knowings and remembrance within me. And that is what I hope you get from these videos. Where I find my inconsistency in recording these comes from, though, is from a place of vulnerability and exposure, feeling exposed, feeling vulnerable about what I'm saying. And while I don't require anyone else to back me up and say, yes, Gail, you're right. The thought of people looking in on these videos and judging and that kind of thing is sometimes where I feel exposed and vulnerable. And I understand that when you narrow it down into percentages, when you narrow down, I am a self-projected projector. I'm a projector, first of all, so I'm only 20% of humanity, you know? I think it's 20%. But then I narrow that down to self-projectorishness. And there are very, very few self-projectors out there. So I know that I am a very different person to a lot of people out there. And the way that I process and the way that I do things and who I am is different. But that's okay, because I'm not here to fit in, and I'm not here for you to be like me. I'm here to speak my voice and speak my truth and speak what patterns and recognition I see and activate an activation in others so that they find their own clarity. That's a very different thing to teaching. And that is what I want when I look on the internet. That is what I want. So when I come to a new gate, a new transition in human design, I want somewhere where someone is speaking about what happened to them in that transition so that I can understand how it feels and what that transition is teaching me. And I can't find that. And because I can't find that, next, I want to create that for myself. I want to create these videos so that next year, when I am coming up to gate 53, I can go back and I can replay what it felt like to go through gate 53 last year. I'm creating it for myself, you know? And standing strong in all that, sometimes when you are in a gamified platform, is difficult. It's hard. Standing strong in that when you're seeing other people succeed in doing it the traditional way and still standing strong can be hard, you know? And then doing it in a way that you know you do it differently, and you know that a lot of people might not totally understand what you're doing and what you're saying, but you know it will activate them. Again, it's hard sometimes. And when I'm tired and run down and my energy is low, and I've been in this energy of frustration and discomfort now for a couple of weeks, you know, is it coming from this? Is it coming from my misalignment with my practices? Because what's now started to happen is, because I've now transitioned my practices into these places, because I feel a little bit exposed and I feel a little bit watched, I'm not doing them. So it's almost like it's biting me in the arse at the moment. But this is where I have to stand strong and ground in who I am and remember who I am, you know? Anyway, I feel like I've uncovered kind of what I needed to uncover, which was, I know why I can't be taught. I know what I need to, you know, this is why I watch interviews. I watch interviews all the time. I watch interviews, I watch the Diary of the CEO, I watch things like We Need to Talk, I watch the Thomas Bros, I watch Staying Relevant, not because I watch Love Island, for God's sakes, not because it's entertainment, because of what it activates, because of what it tells me about me. And I don't find that very often within the topics I want to discuss. Interesting. Anyway, I think I've waxed lyrical enough for today. I found some truth in that. I think I've found my direction. So yeah, I hope you found some activations in there. Maybe you're a YouTube content creator and you're a YouTube creator and it's not feeling right for you. Maybe you're doing all the teaching stuff and you actually realizing that you just need to keep a diary, like me. I don't know. Take from it whatever you will. Catch you later. Okay, so it's a few hours later from all of that rambling, and I have just been re-listening to the video, which is part of my process. Something in my teeth, sorry. I notice, I speak, I distill, I share. That is the process. And the bit in between the speaking and the sharing is really important because that's the hermit part of me. That's the part. So noticing something comes naturally. That's part of the line 2 for me. Speaking it is my self-projected projectorness, okay? The time between speaking it and turning it into my line 4, sharing, is still the hermit, but it's the hermit where it's like when I re-listen, I have extra questions, I have extra information, more knowledge comes to me, the next step comes to me, whatever. The clarity comes to me. And what I just found really interesting then was another part of my question around this whole bringing my practice into my social media and using my social media as that tool. And one of the things that's been coming through recently has been how I feel, and I said it earlier on during this during this recording, was how I feel kind of exposed, vulnerable, because I'm speaking my innermost thoughts to you, right? And if I become aware of that too much, I don't want to record anything. I don't want to share anything, because this is my inner world. I'm speaking it into life, and I can speak it into life and this can be recorded and I can never share this. I've still spoken it into life. I've still done my process, but there is this complete call to share it. And I think it's my line 4 that pulls me to do this. I could just live my life. I could just record videos. I could just talk to myself. I could just work my way through life speaking to myself, using the frequency, getting it out there, recording it, listening to it back. I don't have to share it. But something draws me to share it, and I think that's the line 4. It's also the storyteller within me. It's also several gates within me. Anyway, what came through to me was that this morning, straight after recording that, it felt a little bit exposing to share. I had that element of vulnerability, that element of, do I want to share this? I think even at the start I might have said, I'm not sure if I'm going to share it. However, once I have distilled it, once I've re-listened, once I've taken my truth from it, once I've found my direction, once I've got my clarity, it doesn't feel as red hot. I've done my thing. It's served its purpose for me. It's done what it needs to do for me. I've moved on now. I'm no longer in this zone of where I was this morning, this raw and red and edgy kind of feeling that I was in this morning. I've now processed it through speaking it. I've sat on it for a bit. I've sat with it for a bit. It's distilled a little bit more. I've listened to it back. When I've listened to it back, I've got more clarity, more direction, more truth. And so when I share from that place, so sharing from the place of, I've processed this now, I'm now happy to release this video to my YouTube, removes that feeling of vulnerability and exposure and just Everybody's seeing my innermost thoughts. No, you're seeing my innermost thoughts from 4 hours ago. I am no longer that person. I'm no longer in that zone. I am now over here. I've gone past that. I've gone through that pathway, that tunnel. I'm now out the other side. Live, notice, speak, distill, gain clarity, gain direction, share. And that is the piece that I've been missing, because I've been recording this. I've been recording these videos, and as soon as I finish recording them, I've been splat. It's there on YouTube. No. I have another part of my process to do before I can share. How interesting is this? How interesting is this process? What am I going to call this? The one where she learns that she's not teachable? The one where she uncovers her process? I don't know. I like the one where she discovers she's unteachable. That's quite cool. I quite like that one. But seriously, this whole process, as I've spoken, there have been enlightening moments. I know my direction now. I know which way I'm going. I know the direction of travel. Why? Because I spoke. Now, am I going to share this to my YouTube channel? Yes, I am. Why? Because you might come across it and you might be going through the same kind of thought processes or feelings around YouTube and around how you feel vulnerable sharing, how you are, maybe you're someone who's doing the 5 processes, 5 steps, and it's never felt aligned and you just don't know what to do otherwise. This video is going to be for you. Maybe you are someone who is just into energetics and just understanding how people work, and you just want to feel into that like I do. You know, you just want to see what other people's experience and perspective of things actually activates in you. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe that's why you're here watching this. I don't know. What I do know is going through this process of transferring my actual practices, the things that I would be navigating on a piece of paper in a notebook, and actually navigating them through my voice is, number 1, finding me more clarity, finding me more truth, getting me there quicker. Number 2, I have understood why, and it's because I don't learn in the traditional way. I don't want to learn. I want to be activated. I want things to be unlocked. I want rememberings to be unlocked. You know? I was trying to work out why I wasn't fully engaged in the book that I'm reading at the moment. I wanted to know why. And I came to the conclusion that I'm not absorbed in it and I'm not absorbing it. I'm listening to a story, like when I'm in the bath and stuff like that, and I might actually be scrolling Instagram while I'm listening. I'm doing other things while I'm listening, and that's okay, you know, doing the washing up or doing housework while I'm listening, that's okay. But I'm doing other things while I'm listening, so I'm not absorbing the story. And if I'm not in the story, in the world, the fantasy world that's being created by the story, then how am I being activated? How is it activating me? It's not. It's just a story. It's just I'm passively in it. I'm not absorbed in it. And I find that, you know, that activation I have learned over the last few years is the piece for me. You know, I've said it. It's the activation. It's the unlocking. Anyway, I just thought I'd add this little snippet to the end because this was the piece that then came through to me after re-listening. I'm ready to share this now. I've processed all that. I know my direction. I know my clarity. I'm now happy to share this with you. Interesting.